Hey y'all, thanks for stopping by the channel. I'm Infinite Enzo, and this is the inaugural episode of Takedown Talk. So what this little show is all about is disassembling knives, talking about why they're important to me in my collection, and maybe seeing if it's something that would make sense for you to add to your collection. So yeah, let's get to it. So this is the Spyderco SpydieChef. This knife is really one of my favorite knives of all time. It's incredibly well balanced. It's very versatile. Yeah, it's just it's a great EDC knife. So what we have here is a titanium frame lock, LC200 in blade steel, which is a super stainless steel, almost completely corrosion resistant. Titanium handle slabs. Our blade length is 3.3 inches. Our handle length is roughly 4.5 inches. And the titanium frame lock, one thing I will mention is that it is titanium directly against steel. So that does lend itself to a lot of lock stick, as I'm sure you can see right here. Look at that, God. We're gonna try to correct that today. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm using the iFixit toolkit as popularized by good old Nick Shabazz. And what we're working with here is a T8 on the pivot, and the stock screws on this knife for the body are all T6. I've replaced these with some aftermarket screws. These are all T8s as well. This additional screw here is just for the opposite side of whatever side you put the pocket clip on. That just kind of fills the gap there, so you don't have an unusual gaping hole just hanging out in your pocket knife. So let me get the right drivers here and we'll get started. All right, so as I said, T8 on the pivot screw. Ooh, there we go. And again, the stock ones are T6, so if you're using a completely stock SpydieChef, expect those to be T6s. But I'm glad I replaced these with these aftermarket screws, simply because it's been my experience that some of Spyderco's stock screws, they run them a little soft sometimes, and in particular I have a paramilitary 2 that is a little bit the worse for wear when it comes to the screws. Should probably contact Spyderco about that, but they're hanging in there. I will mention too, I got this, let's see here. I got this iFixit set. You can get it on Amazon, but I actually got mine at an Ace Hardware. There's the blade stop. So everything's just coming right out here for me. There's the blade. There's the pivot. Before I continue any further, I'm gonna go ahead and take out this lanyard. Yes, you can get this iFixit toolkit on Amazon. It's a security kit, and I don't have much knowledge about stuff like that, but I do think, from what I understand, it's intended for like computer hardware and things like that and appliances. But I mean, it works fantastic for disassembling knives. One thing that's worth noting is the bits are security Torx, and there's really not a significant difference except for the fact that they all have a little, here I'll show you here, right here, so you can see that they all have a little pinhole right in there in order to accept the Torx security screws, which have a pin in them. There we go. All right, and I got one pivot bushing, or a washer, I should say, one bronze washer still stuck on the inside, and we'll correct that in a minute. Now, there's no need for you, if you're just wanting to clean up the pivot area, there's no need for you to do anything other than remove this scale. I'll go ahead and grab that bronze washer, put it down here. But just for the sake of having a fully exploded view, I'm gonna go ahead and remove these as well. There we go. Remove these standoffs. Put that there. these aftermarket screws that I got claimed to be titanium. Whether or not they are, I'm pretty happy with them overall. They ran them quite hard. Don't have to worry about them. This is one of my favorite knives to disassemble because it comes apart and goes back together just so very easily. There's our lanyard tube. This guy is stuck in there. Come on, big boy. Come on. He does not want to move. Let's see if I can give him a little nudge there. Come on. We're gonna get him out. All right. I'm gonna try to do this without being too hard on it. You know what? I am gonna move this washer up here. See what we can do here. Yeah, we're gonna get this guy out. There we go. All right. Let's see, we'll turn this way. And you know what? Let's go ahead and, might help if I have the right driver on there. Let's go ahead and take off this pocket clip as well. The much beloved Spyderco wire pocket clip. I don't know for sure that it's my favorite. I know it is many people's favorite. And it is definitely probably in my top 3 stock pocket knife clips. But honestly, this is gonna sound silly, but I'm a big fan of the Griptilian Benchmade clips that just said Benchmade right down the side. I feel like I haven't seen a lot of those lately. I actually have a Super Freak and I swapped the stock clip out for that. The stock, the phallic clip as we all know it, the split arrow clip, I swapped it out for just that old school Benchmade clip. All right, so here's our exploded view. So just to recap, got 1 pivot screw, 1 pivot, blade stop. We have 6 body screws total. This is the opposite, this is the screw for the pocket clip, lanyard tube, 1, 2, 3, you know, I hear my dog scratching. 1, 2, 3 standoffs, 2 bronze washers, and of course the knife. Well, our exploded view minus 1 extra screw I forgot to take out, and you know what? I'm a completionist, so we're gonna do this properly. There we go, just a tiny little screw. Goes on the opposite side. Quite a bit of Loctite in there, I need to clean that out. So this is our properly exploded view of the Spyderco SpydieChef. And let's get into the cleaning process. And I'm just gonna be using a spray bottle with a little bit of soap and water, nothing too crazy. So my big thing that I'm gonna be cleaning here in particular is the lock face. I believe it must have gotten some oil on it the last time I lubricated the knife. And that's one thing with these titanium frame locks, particularly when they don't have a steel lock interface, is that you get oil on that lock face, man, the lock stick is gonna be horrendous. And I believe in the CQI version, I believe they did something about that. I don't know if they put a full-on steel interface on there or not, but I think they put like a steel ball or something similar to like what, I believe what they do on Chris Reeve knives. Just cleaned up. The scales are actually doing pretty good. A little bit of corrosion, so you can see that. Come on, focus for me. All right, here we go. A little bit of corrosion on that LC200N actually, which is quite a surprise. All right. Now I'm not gonna bother cleaning out all of these. I will clean out the pivot real quick because it has gotten a little bit grimy. And the blade stop, we'll give the blade stop a quick wipe down here. All right, perfect. All right, so now what's probably one of the more important parts here are the bronze washers. And what I like to do with these, see if I can grab them. This is always the hardest part with these things, is picking them up without trying to bend them. All right, I just place them on a towel and just kind of wipe them around a little bit. You really do, I used to think it was a bit of an overstatement that you needed to be gentle with these things, but the aforementioned Benchmade Freak that I have actually has, one of the washers has a bit of a burr on it, and it's very slight, but it completely affects the action of the knife. It's very unusual. Sometimes the action will be superb and it'll lock up wonderfully and it'll feel great, and then it'll go through a period where, you know, probably about 20 deployments where it just doesn't feel right. And enough so that I disassembled it and had a look at it and tried to polish it out, and it's better, but it's still not perfect. So that may be something that we visit in a future episode. All right, that'll work. All right, give me just a quick dry here. I really do believe that this is one of the best everyday carry knives Spyderco has ever made. It's very light. The weight that I see for it's typically like around 3.5 ounces. No, it's probably a little bit more than that, but it's very, in any case, it's a very slim, very low profile, very pocketable. And this LC200 in steel is definitely nothing to snort at. It is pretty awesome. Now you guys notice I'm not taping up my blade. Now I'm not advocating to not tape up your blade. You probably do want to do that. I'm just a creature of habit, and I don't tape up my blades. All right, let's get these. Let's see. Why don't we start off by getting the standoffs back in place here. I will look these over, see if they need a cleaning, but they look pretty good to me. This one, okay. This standoff, come on, focus. There we go. This standoff is D-shaped, so this one goes into the, well no, actually they're all D-shaped, pardon me. Every single one of them is D-shaped. So all of these, come on, focus. All right. You wanna make sure that you fit these to the proper side. So the D-shaped sides of the collars go on the lock bar side. And I'm just gonna have a look at each of these as I go through them here. Make sure there's nothing funny going on. They all look fine so far. There we go. All right. Then we'll do the lanyard tube here. This lanyard tube is a little, let me do a close up here. Come on. There we go. It fits great, and it's not nearly as much of a nightmare as the PM2 lanyard tube, but it's a little tiny bit loose, so you can hear some rattle with it. Personally, that doesn't bother me. The first time I disassembled the knife, I actually Loctited it, and that solved the problem for a little bit. But ultimately, it doesn't bother me enough to keep doing that. Let's see here, take another look at the pivot before we put the pivot in place. And it's looking pretty good to me here, so go ahead and pop that in as well. This pivot is D-shaped. Actually, let's have a closer look at it real quick. There we go. We have a D-shaped pivot. Come on, focus for me. Yeah, so you can see that side fits nicely into the D-shaped opening on the lock bar side, on the lock bar scale. The one thing that I wish they didn't do was tool it, because the first time I disassembled the knife, I just went to the side and started unscrewing and it wasn't budging. And having had a PM2, I assumed, oh, well, they've Loctited it, which was not the case. It was never gonna budge because it was a D-shaped pivot. Fortunately, I didn't totally ruin it, but it does look a little worse for the wear, as you can see here, but I learned my lesson. So yeah, this is some advice to y'all if y'all wanna disassemble your SpydieChef. Disassemble it from the show side, not from the lock side. All right. Have another look at this lock face here before we continue. And it's looking pretty clean now. Hopefully I got all that oil off. Okay. Sorry guys, had to correct some focusing issues there. But anyway, so we're gonna put our blade stop back in before we do anything else. And that just goes right in this depression right here. And yeah, now it's on to lubricating. So that doesn't feel right. Let's flip that around the other way, see if that, yeah, I don't know why, that just feels better to me. So we're gonna do it that way. So to lubricate, I typically use mineral oil. And this works pretty good. It's a little bit viscous, it's a little bit thick. If you want something lighter, of course, there's always nano oil. The reason I like mineral oil, it's readily available, it's food safe. As long as you don't ingest like a ton of this stuff, you're gonna be totally fine. So in that regard, I like it more than 3-in-1 oil or your standard household oil. So let's get started. I just use some Q-tips for this process, and I'm sure you guys are gonna tell me I'm using way too much, and I'm sure I probably am using way too much. But I don't worry about it too much. As long as the knife has a good action, that's all I ask for. All right, so we're just gonna drop that washer right in there, put a little bit on top here as well. I'm being careful not to get any on the lock face, because that's where we would have a serious problem. And I'll wipe a little bit here around the pivot as well. Okay. And let's go ahead and drop the blade into place. I'm gonna move that lock bar out of the way, support the pivot here, and move that lock bar out of the way just a little bit. Make it a little bit easier, perfect. All right, now the blade is locked in, and do a little bit more mineral oil here. Perfect. Just drop that on there. Next washer. Put a little bit more on top there. There we go. Awesome. Now, am I forgetting anything? Don't believe I am. All right, so we're gonna drop the scale in place here. I need to be careful to hold the scale tightly from both sides, since I don't have any screws going into the body right now. However, with the way this knife is designed, the standoffs are recessed into the scale, so as long as I hold it tight, it shouldn't be a problem. Although our pivot is popping out a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Opening up the lock bar solved that. I'll hold that there. Let's go ahead and, let's see. Let's go ahead and start with the pivot. Oh, before I go any further, I need to Loctite these screws. So, just your standard blue Loctite. It's not permanent. And just a little bit, that's all you need. Get Loctite on my board here, a little tiny bit. Yep, that's all I need. All right, so let's drop that pivot screw into place. right, so why don't we check the action out real quick. Oh yeah. No blade play. Let's see if we could loosen it up a touch. I have a feeling it'll, as soon as I loosen it. Nope, actually no blade play. Yeah. That lock stick's still there a little bit. Let's loosen that a little bit more. A little bit of play. No play. I think that's our happy medium. I think the lock stick's improved though from what it was when I started. All right, so last thing, get the lanyard back on here. This thing is a pain in the butt, and it was my only thing that I was really kind of dreading here. So let me think about this. I'm gonna loop it through. It'll go like that. Boom, okay. So what I need to do this is a very thin driver. All right, here we go. This has been done to this guy a few times, and I don't know how much longer this lanyard's gonna hold up to these disassemblies. Okay guys, that was, you can see I got the pliers out. That was the hardest part of putting the damn knife back together, was getting the damn, oh boy, getting the damn lanyard back in place. The thing is, it's one of those looped lanyards, so this is the only way to do it, unless you want to try cutting the loop in half and then re-adhering it, but that doesn't really work so well. Let's tighten that up. There we go. And, all right, let's clean this up a little bit. Oh boy. Well, thank you guys for joining me. I hope this was useful to you, and you know, hopefully, you know, if not, hopefully you enjoyed just hanging out here with me and laughing at my my questionable abilities of disassembling my own gear. But in any case, it was good for me. Spyderco SpydieChef, classic knife, highly recommended. If you can get a hold of one of the CQI versions, let me see how much these are going for now. They are $234 now. Now that's Blade HQ's price, but that's a better version than this one. So keep an eye out for them. You won't be disappointed. But anyway, y'all, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.